So hi Nia and hi the team. And I'm Nguyễn. I'm currently working for Vietnam Zero Waste Alliance. We are a group of different Vietnamese organizations and advocating for zero waste plastics and also like climate change mitigation adaptation in Vietnam. Thank you for joining us for the webcast and the interview today. Do you want to introduce a bit about yourself and your team?
Yes, thank you very much for inviting us to celebrate Earth Day with you. We're very excited to be here and to get the chance to share a little bit about the tourism industry and what we can do to make traveling more sustainable. My name is Nia. I'm the Regional Sustainability Coordinator of Kori Travel and the Executive Director of Kori Reach Foundation. As Kori Travel is a destination management company, so that means we bring tourists from overseas to Vietnam. So that means we have a great responsibility towards the destination, the country, and the people to make sure we treat everyone with respect and keep the negative impact as minimal as possible. Just to give you a bit of background information, in 2019, last year, we had about more than 18 million international visitors coming to Vietnam. And that's not even counting the domestic travelers, so the Vietnamese traveling. So you can imagine there's a huge impact on the destination. And throughout this whole process with the tourists, we work with local hotels, local tour operators, tour guides, restaurants, and of course the travelers themselves. So whatever we do, whatever decisions we make, we need to make sure to keep our bottom triple line in mind, which is people, planet, and profit.
Wow, great. So can you tell us a little bit more about IMPACT Vietnam and how it started?
Right. IMPACT Vietnam is an informal network of responsible tour operators. And our goal is to really promote sustainable tourism and engage the whole tourism industry in Vietnam. And it all started in 2017. Just to give you a bit of background information, Kori Travel is Travel Life certified. Travel Life is a sustainability certification for tourism businesses with 250 something criteria, which gives us a bit of guidance in tackling this whole issue or this whole massive complex topic of sustainability. So in 2017, it was our first recertification, so it was our second audit. And the auditor came out of this meeting and was like, guys, you need to share your experiences, you need to share your best practices, you need to engage the whole tourism industry. So back then, Kori Travel and Exo Travel actually came together and founded IMPACT. We now have 5 members, so it's Kori and Exo, it's Asian Trails, Indo-Track, and Destination Asia. But we also work with lots of hotels, NGOs, other organizations to really promote sustainability.
Right. So as like a lot of organizations involved in IMPACT Vietnam, so what does that look like? How do you collaborate with each other?
Right. So we host a bi-monthly networking events, which means we invite guest speakers, experts to share their knowledge. So it could be anything from environmental topics, could be plastic pollution or wildlife in Vietnam, or it could be also social issues. So for example, empowerment of women or child protection. These networking events are completely free and open to anyone.
Right.
Sorry, here's the slide. We also host an annual sustainability workshop for hotels, where we invite our partner hotels in Saigon, where again we want to provide them with a platform where they can share experiences and best practices. We also invite suppliers, so we provide ready-to-use solutions for the hotels. Could be chemical-free cleaning products or could be eco-friendly amenities, for example. So the hotels can choose these solutions, go back to the property and implement them right away. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, it's like just great events and activities you have. So is there anything that people listening today can do to participate even when they're not working in tourism industry?
Right, yeah, great question. Yes, of course, absolutely. People can get involved. And I want to introduce one massive project we've been working on to you, which is called Refill My Bottle. Refill My Bottle is a network of water refill stations. It could be coffee shops, restaurants, shops, hotels, even our offices are refill stations. We have this app, so you can actually have the QR code. We have it here, so you can right away download the app. And it's super easy to use, and it's free for everyone to sign up or to use the app. And we, as a tourism business, we use the app while we have, for example, guided city tours through Saigon. Our guide knows where our clients can then refill their bottle the next time. So there's literally no need for any single-use plastic bottles anymore. And we have over 250 refill stations already. So join the revolution. And if you know anyone, or if you have a coffee shop, sign up on the app. It's a great initiative, and hopefully we can save lots of plastic bottles.
That's great. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I pass now on to my colleague Ameer from Asian Trails, who's going to talk about carbon footprint and carbon offsetting.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Nia. Thanks for introducing me and in starting off this very interesting topic for us. So just to give everyone a quick introduction to myself, my name is Ameer. I'm the Group Sustainability Coordinator for Asian Trails, which, like Kiri Travel, which is the company Nia represented, is a destination management company here in Asia. So I'm based in Vietnam, and I'm tasked with developing responsible tourism initiatives in the 8 destinations that the company operates in. So what I want to talk about very briefly is the paradox of setting tourism as sustainable. So when I tell people that I work in sustainable tourism, most wonder exactly what does that mean. So this is something that I can quite easily explain to them, usually by relating it to examples from travels of their own. For example, taking part in low impact activities like hiking and cycling, and buying local products that puts money directly into the hands of local people. My colleagues will talk a bit more about this with examples of what their companies are doing, so I won't go into too much detail. But I want to talk more about the question that some other people ask me when I tell them the field that I work in. They wonder how sustainable tourism is even possible. They consider it to be counterintuitive. You know, how can we call tourism sustainable when it involves people flying halfway across the world? And I think this is a really important and pertinent question, because climate change is very real, and it's a well-known fact that air travel is a major contributor of the greenhouse gases that are causing climate change.
Yeah, so this paradox that you mentioned, can you tell us how you address this in your company?
Sure. So I can't claim that at Asian Trails we do anything different to the kind of classic model of many destination management companies and tour operators here in Vietnam. You know, we create and sell package holidays to customers in Europe and further afield. So essentially our business model relies on people boarding an airplane to get to Vietnam. So how can we call this sustainable? Well, I believe that tourism can really be a force for good in the destinations where it takes place. How it can do this is by creating jobs, contributing to local economic development, conserving heritage and wildlife, creating intercultural understanding between the tourist and the host, and so on. So although these positive impacts don't cancel out the harm to the environment caused by flying there, I think it can go some way to offsetting, and in an ideal world, even outweighing the negative environmental impacts of flying when managed in the right way. And this is where sustainable tourism plays an important role. So my job is to lead the Asian Trails team across 8 countries in managing our business in a way that respects and benefits the people and planet where we run our operations. So in those 8 destinations where we work. And one example of how we do this, which I want to talk about in a bit more detail, is by mitigating the carbon dioxide, the CO2 emissions of our travelers once they arrive in the destination.
Oh, yes. So I think I heard of this before. Is it what we call carbon offsetting?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So carbon offsetting is something that our viewers may have heard of, but might not be so familiar with its exact meaning. So it's actually pretty straightforward. It's quite simple. Carbon offsetting is about compensating for the carbon dioxide emissions that one creates by contributing financially to a project which prevents future emissions, so an environmental project, for example, or it can be done by directly removing CO2 from the atmosphere by planting trees, for example.
Yeah. So how can you implement this in your business? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we plan to do, this is actually a very big topic for us this year at Asian Trails. So later this year, we plan to provide all of our travelers, not just in Vietnam, but across the countries in Asia where we work, with the option to offset the carbon emissions of their holiday. So what we have done is we've calculated an average of the CO2 emissions that a traveler on an Asian Trails holiday emits in tons. And then this value in tons has been converted into a monetary value per day, which will be added to the price that they pay for the tour. And then this amount, so the total amount, which we will gather into a kind of carbon offsetting fund, will be set aside, and we will use that money to contribute to carbon reduction projects in each of the countries that we operate in. So we will take that money and contribute it to environmentally friendly projects in Asia. At the same time, of course, we are constantly trying to, reduce the actual CO2 emissions of the activities we organize for our guests. Now, we understand that this carbon offsetting initiative does not cancel out the emissions of our clients' flight to come here. They still have to fly to get to our destinations. But once they arrive here, we want to do everything we can to maximize the positive impacts and minimize the negative impacts of their trip for both local communities and the natural environment. And for me, this is what sustainable tourism is all about. It's about taking responsibility for outweighing the inevitable negative impacts with positive ones, which would be unachievable if people did not fly or travel at all.
Great. Thank you so much for your input. Yeah.
Morning, everyone. Thank you, Ameer, for the introduction. As Ameer mentioned, my name is Nick. I'm the General Manager for Kori Vietnam. I've been with Kori now for almost 3 years. And in that time, a lot of my job has rotated around sustainability, heading up the sustainable team in Vietnam, and also looking at product design. So one of the prerequisites for any new tour that we put together, any new idea, is sustainability and making sure that it's something that's taken into account. I was also a founding member, co-founding member of the IMPACT Vietnam group that's been going since 2018 as well. I think Nia spoke a little bit about that earlier. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an insight today as to our product design, how it goes, how we put it together, and our kind of belief in that. So when we talk about product, we're not just talking about things that you buy essentially, but all aspects of it. So we want to make sure that we are putting in a positive impact, not just on the climate, but on the communities that we work in. But we're talking about accommodation, the day tours that we create, as well as the day tours that when we work with third-party suppliers. For example, we don't have a fleet of Vespers that we can just drive around Saigon. So we work with one of our trusted suppliers in this sense, our partners. Cruise ships, restaurants, transport, all of this is taken into account when we talk about product. And I know Nia mentioned a little bit earlier about Travel Life, and obviously she's contributed to us being certified in all 7 of our destinations, which is great. one of the things that we really pride ourselves is trying to offer something a little bit of an alternative to the kind of cookie cutter tick box tours that you see online sometimes. So our signature tours kind of take you a little bit under the skin of the destination and really try to show you another side of the location. Our Saigon signature tour, for example, is called Saigon Unseen. So there's no war museum, there's no Notre Dame Cathedral, there's no reunification palace. You know, we're taking you into areas of Saigon that you wouldn't normally go. We're a big believer in the fact that, you know, our guests are pretty smart and they do a lot of research before they come here. So the need for us to be babysitting them while they walk around the War Museum is not really as important as, you know, taking them to areas of Saigon that they wouldn't normally be able to go to, or they wouldn't even think of. So this is something that we really kind of put a lot of emphasis on. It's not actually, it sounds strange, but it's not actually often that complicated to do this. Hoi An is a great example. You know, if I took one of our clients to Hoi An for 3 days and I didn't take them to the old town and do a walking tour around the old town, they'd think that we were crazy, you know. You have to do it, but you don't have to do it like everyone else is doing it. And sometimes it's as simple as just changing the route. So simply walking through the little back alleyways and little pathways, and some of the people that you meet along the way completely changes that tour, and it becomes something totally new and innovative, which is great.
Yeah, I see. But first, thank you for joining us for the webcast. And I can see like those are really great initiatives. I just wonder, can you tell us more about how you do it and who is involved in creating those unique experience?
Yeah, sure. I mean, funnily enough, we don't actually have a dedicated product team. In Vietnam, for example, we're only just over 20 people, split between Saigon, Hanoi, and Hoi An, the different offices. So yeah, we have no product development team. Product development is an organic process. We look at what we have to offer now. We look at what our clients, the agents that we work with, what they're asking for, and we go out and create it. One of the nice things about being a slightly smaller organization is that we can kind of get things done. So if there's an idea for a tour, you know, I can go out on Monday and do the inspection and do some research. I can put together the plan. I can quote it on Tuesday. I can write the description and take some pictures, and we could be selling it on by the end of the week. You know, so in that sense, it's really great. But everyone's involved, from sales, contracting, guides. You know, they often come together with ideas, and then we build it into a sellable product. So in that sense, it's a real kind of team effort. One of the big things that we've done in the last couple of years is look at some of the longer journeys that clients take. So Hoi An to Hue, Hanoi to Halong Bay, Saigon to Canton, like these are all kind of three and a bit hour journeys, if not longer. And sitting in a car for 3 hours is tedious at the very least, you know. So we've kind of gone out and tried to find ways to break those journeys up. So for the Saigon to Canton example, I happened to be talking to a member of our operations team, and she mentioned that her uncle has an orange orchard about halfway between Ho Chi Minh and Canton. He makes marmalade, makes jams, you know. So we use this as a perfect opportunity to break that journey up. The clients stop, they have a little break, they see the farm, they see the process, how it's made. It's a, you know, little local business. It's not a big, not a big company at all. And then have a bite to eat, try the jam, and then head off to the hotel. All of this was designed just because my staff has an uncle. For us, the next step is how do we help them bring this to market? So we're trying to work with them now to see if we can actually expand their business into some of the hotels that we work with. So using our contacts and our network, we help them source, you know, we need to help them source some, you know, cool hipster jars and put a nice label on things. And And then we use this, this contact to get this locally grown product into some of the hotels that we work with. The idea is, imagine going to the farm, seeing how the marmalade is made, and then waking up the next morning, and instead of seeing, those little plastic packets of marmalade, I mean, I don't even know if there's orange in these packets, but instead of seeing this, you see the exact locally made jars of marmalade that you saw the day before and helped make, So for us, it's, the sustainable side of product is not just about the climate, but it's also about the communities that we're working in, and trying to create new jobs as well.
That's so great. Where I can imagine like that's gonna be difficult when you work with different like clients and like organizations. So how do you make sure that the tours are run as you intended by the guide and also the local suppliers?
Sure, yeah. I mean, that was obviously a little insight into how we create the tours, but managing them and ensuring that they remain at the highest level, especially when you're outsourcing, is critical. With the guides, we do guide training at least twice a year where we get everyone in. When there's new product and new tours being designed, they're often involved, or some of them are often involved in the design process and the research process. So they then do the training for the other guides to kind of really show them what it's meant to be like. We also send all of our local staff on inspection trips at least once a year. So they kind of pick different parts of the country, and they go and they do not only accommodation inspections, but also tour inspections as well. So it gives them an idea, not just to see how the tours are run. So not all just looking at keeping the general standards that we expect and that these suppliers claim that they are reaching, but an essential part of that assessment is their sustainable practices. For me and for Kiri, like, we are not really in the business of punishing people for not being as sustainable as others. But what we're really trying to do is to see where there are areas that we can actually help with or connect them with other hotels or suppliers who are doing great work in that area. We want to promote sustainability within the traveler business, and encourage people to be more sustainable rather than punishing them for not being as sustainable as they could be. Again, this is all another good reason for the hotel sustainability workshop that Nia already mentioned. So yeah. Yeah,
that's also like wonderful, like to know that. How do you communicate with travel agents so they understand the socially responsible aspect of your tours?
Yeah, it's something that we've worked a lot on recently. We speak very often with our clients, with our agents, just on almost on a social basis as well. So they know that this is the kind of thing that we put a lot of emphasis on anyway, and they're always interested when we have new things coming up. Internally, one of the things that we've done recently is created a system of icons for our day tours. So there's two essentially, and these demonstrate to our clients specific tours where we are promoting either the conservation of the environment as well as having a positive impact on the communities that we operate in. So if you were to look at our kind of day tour list, each day tour, one day tour might have one of those icons, or it might actually have both of them as well. And this obviously goes out to our agents, and we're trying to promote them to book these tours. A lovely example for it is in Langkou, so it's kind of halfway between Hoi An and Hue, where we work with a local fishing family. They take you out onto their little fishing boat. You go out to the Chinese fishing nets, the big square ones that kind of drop into the water. You can climb up into the rigging, and with your feet, you kind of pedal and it lifts up and stuff. Like you get to have a go as well. They have a little oyster farm there, where you can see how they kind of farm their oysters. And then you have lunch, or you help to cook lunch with the local family on their stilted house in the middle of the lagoon. So not only is it breaking up that journey, not only is it a beautiful location where you've got the mountains in the background, and the lagoon and the beach and everything else, but also you're working with and supporting this local family and local community. So this is really great, and by putting these icons on these tours, we're really showing our agents which of our day tours are very, very, like focused on either the community or the environment, and we're actively, pushing them and encourage them to sell those tours instead. Yeah.
Great.
I mean, these practices are for us, these are common in all of our countries, but we recognize really that trying to create sustainable travel to me, it's a bit of a fallacy. I think that when agents and travel companies claim to be sustainable, I just don't think it's possible. I think that not right now, and I think that if I were to dig deep enough, I would find areas that you are not sustainable in. But that's not the point. It's part of an ongoing process. And to me, I think as long as people are trying to be, and companies are trying to be more sustainable every day, I think we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah. I hope that I can try the tour like someday.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, you have to get back from Sweden, and then next time you come over, we'll hook you up for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope this has given you a nice kind of a little insight into how we manage our product portfolio, and how we're trying to put a focus on sustainability when it comes to the experiences that the clients are having when they're here.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone. I will leave you to Kori now. Kori is the Business Development Director for Destination Asia in Vietnam, and she's going to chat to you a little bit about reducing carbon footprint in destination. Okay, bye everybody.
Hi everyone, I'm Kori, Business Development Director for Destination Asia Vietnam, and in charge of sustainability in our offices in Hanoi, Da Nang, and Saigon. I have 7 years experience in tourism in Southeast Asia, so I also previously worked in Cambodia, Thailand, and Myanmar. And today I'm very happy to present to you our Sustainable Welcome Pack developed by Destination Asia. It is a really fun project, and it features zero waste packaging and supports local business. It is eco-friendly because our travelers don't have to open all the individually wrapped amenities in each hotel they stay in, and it's convenient as they don't have to pack their toiletry bag. In it, we feature 10 items with things like soap, a shampoo bar, a bamboo toothbrush, a bamboo straw, and even a coral-friendly sunscreen. And we pack that all in a small bag that we deliver upon arrival in Vietnam. We work with a supplier, Quinn Tran, who is a young Vietnamese entrepreneur and a zero-waste shop owner. She helped us put together the list of ingredients and components. You can see me scroll through right now. And everything is natural. And I added in the story, which you can see here as well, of each supplier from the Mekong Delta all the way to Dalat Highlands. I believe storytelling is super important to make a product relatable. This was really a team effort, and we're very proud of the results.
Well, those look so nice. And thank you for joining us for the webcast today. And in your part, you mentioned about team effort. So can you tell us a bit more how you set this thing up?
Sure. It started out as an idea of our general manager, and I helped bring this to fruition with the support of many other colleagues. So we went to the shop with our product and marketing manager, who you can see is also a photography expert, and he took some macro shots of each item, and we did nice setups, which we then sent to our head marketing team and graphic designer in Bangkok, who put together this beautiful brochure. And then our leisure manager shared this with our travel consultant team so that they could individually send to their top agents. And we had selected the top agents before based on their core values and who we thought would be most receptive to the product. I followed up with calls, and we received great feedback because the cause resonated, and yeah, simply because it's beautiful, it's social media friendly, and in the end, it's still quite affordable.
Or that was a long process. Are there any challenges when you implement this process?
Yes, there was trial and error, as with many things. I realized that I hadn't been specific enough about the expectations of the end client. Our American and British travelers take several flights when on vacation, so it was actually super important for each product to be light and compact, to fit in a roll-on suitcase, and less than 100 milliliters, the liquid maximum on flights. Yeah. And it had to be, overall, the packaging had to be beautiful because our clients were sensitive to that. So we had to review some of the products according to that. We also work with only small scale suppliers in the descriptions, they're family shops. So, and they don't put any artificial preservatives. I want to highlight that these are all natural products. So for stocking and sourcing, it's always going to be a challenge to do it on demand. So we'll have to work with that. And, of course, the biggest one is we look forward to the end of this COVID-19 travel restriction and crisis so we can start receiving travelers in Vietnam again.
Yeah, I hope that this good soon pass. And this is just a great initiative. I think there are gonna be people really curious how they can start with this kind of product in their company. So what are the tips that you could give to people who want to start implementing similar projects for their companies?
I'd say support of your management and your colleagues is key. You really can't do big scale projects alone, and you have to involve everyone. And I personally think it's super important, if you can see it here, that the quality of the new things that you offer has to be as good or better than the previous standard. And I believe that's the case here. And also be super open and honest. We contacted the travel agents telling them that this was a testing phase and we wanted their feedback. So we had constructive criticism on things to improve. And we also had to customize for a few of their own travelers, which we're super happy to do. I mean, in the end, nothing will be perfect from the start. It's a process. So every small step counts. And we hope that with this example, we demonstrate that small actions matter and that you had a little bit of inspiration today. Thank you.
Yeah, I really like your quotes, small actions count. So yeah, so thank you all for joining us for the webcast, and to our audience, I thank again for listening. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact our speakers. We will put up their emails following. And also if you want to contact us, feel free to contact Vietnam Zero Waste Alliance. We can connect you with our speaker as well. Yeah. So thank you so much. Hey.